I stood up against my brother's misogyny at my own wedding. 6 months later, my SIL left him and my parents finally saw the truth. I, 29F, got married last month to my husband Daniel, 31M. We've been together for 5 years, having met at a mutual friend's barbecue. I remember that day so clearly. I was helping set up the food table when Daniel offered to lend a hand. We got talking about our shared love of obscure 80s movies, and the rest, as they say, is history. Our relationship hasn't always been smooth sailing. We've had our fair share of arguments and disagreements, especially in the early days when we were still figuring each other out. But we've always managed to work through our issues with open communication and mutual respect. That's why, when Daniel proposed 2 years ago during a hike to our favorite scenic overlook, I didn't hesitate to say yes. We spent over a year planning our wedding. I'm not usually one for big, elaborate events, but I wanted this day to be special. We chose a beautiful rustic venue, a converted barn with strings of fairy lights and wildflower centerpieces. It was a perfect blend of elegance and casual charm, just like us. We invited about 150 guests, a mix of family, friends, and co-workers. I was especially excited for my colleagues to meet my family. I've worked hard to build my career as a software engineer and I'm proud of where I am today. It hasn't always been easy, especially being a woman in a male-dominated field, but I've persevered and earned the respect of my peers. The day of the wedding arrived, and everything was going perfectly. I felt like a princess in my dress, a simple, elegant gown with lace detailing that I'd fallen in love with the moment I tried it on. Daniel looked incredibly handsome in his tailored suit. When we saw each other at the end of the aisle, I felt my heart skip a beat, just like it did on our first date. The ceremony was beautiful. We wrote our own vows, and I'll never forget the look in Daniel's eyes as he promised to support me in all my dreams and aspirations. After the ceremony, we took what felt like a million photos with our families and the wedding party. My cheeks were sore from smiling so much, but I didn't care. The reception started off great. The caterers outdid themselves with a spread that catered to everyone's tastes and dietary needs. Daniel and I had our first dance to our song, the cheesy 80s ballad that was playing when we first kissed. Then we cut the cake together, playfully smearing a bit of frosting on each other's noses for the cameras. Then it was time for the toasts. My maid of honor, my best friend since college, gave a heartwarming speech about our friendship, and how happy she was to see me find someone who truly understood and supported me. Daniel's best man told some hilarious stories from their days as roommates, careful to keep things PG for the older relatives in attendance. My parents both said a few words. My mom got a bit teary-eyed as she welcomed Daniel to the family, and my dad made a corny joke about finally having someone to watch football with. It was all going so well. Finally, it was my brother Alex's, 33M, turn to give a toast. I felt a nut form in my stomach. Alex and I have had a complicated relationship for years. Growing up, we were close, always getting into mischief together. But as we got older, things changed. Alex became more traditional in his views, especially when it came to gender roles. He married young and expected his wife to be a stay-at-home mom, which she was happy to do. But he couldn't understand why I wanted a different path for myself. When I decided to major in computer science in college, Alex scoffed, saying it was a man's field and that I'd be better off studying something more suitable for a woman. I tried to brush off his comments, but they hurt. Over the years, his attitude only got worse. Every family gathering turned into an opportunity for him to make snide remarks about my career choices or my relationship status. When I introduced him to Daniel, I hoped things would improve. Daniel is supportive of my career and we share household responsibilities equally. I thought maybe seeing a healthy, modern relationship would change Alex's perspective. But instead, he just started making comments about how Daniel needed to man up and control his woman. Despite all this history, I still wanted Alex to be part of my wedding day. I hoped that maybe, just maybe, he'd put aside his judgmental attitude for one day and be happy for me. As he stood up to give his toast, I held my breath. Alex started off okay, talking about some childhood memories. But then things took a turn. He made a joke about how surprised he was that I actually managed to find someone willing to marry me, given how career-obsessed I am. The knot in my stomach tightened as he went on to say that he hoped Daniel was prepared for a wife who cares more about her job than her family. I felt like I had been slapped. Daniel squeezed my hand under the table, but I could tell he was angry too. Alex continued, saying things like I guess miracles do happen and maybe now she'll finally learn to cook something other than microwave meals. The room fell uncomfortably silent. I looked around and saw people shifting in their seats, avoiding eye contact. My parents looked mortified, but they didn't say anything. This was typical, they'd always avoided confrontation, preferring to sweep issues under the rug rather than address them head-on. When Alex finally finished his toast, there was awkward, scattered applause. I felt humiliated and angry. This was supposed to be one of the happiest days of my life, and Alex had managed to turn it into yet another opportunity to belittle me and my choices. I excused myself and went to the bathroom, where I broke down crying. My maid of honor followed me, offering comfort and suggesting we ask the DJ to play my favorite dance song to lighten the mood. But I knew I couldn't just pretend nothing had happened. After I composed myself, I went to find Alex. I found him at the bar, laughing with some of his friends as if he hadn't just ruined my wedding toast. I pulled him aside to a private area and confronted him about his speech. I told him how hurtful and inappropriate his comments were, especially on my wedding day. I explained that my career is important to me, but that doesn't mean I don't value my relationships or my new marriage. Alex got defensive immediately. He said I was being too sensitive and that he was just joking. He accused me of trying to ruin the wedding by making a big deal out of nothing. When I pressed him on why he thought it was okay to humiliate me in front of our guests, he stormed off, muttering something about how I couldn't take a joke. I returned to the reception, trying to put on a brave face for the rest of the night. But the damage was done. The mood had shifted, and I could tell people were gossiping about what had happened. Daniel did his best to cheer me up, even convincing the DJ to play a marathon of 80s hits to get people dancing and distract from the drama. But I couldn't shake the feeling that my brother had tainted one of the most important days of my life. After the wedding, I got texts from my parents saying I should apologize to Alex for overreacting and causing a scene. They said I should have just laughed off his comments and moved on. But I don't think I did anything wrong by standing up for myself. This wasn't just about one inappropriate toast, it was about years of snide comments and disrespect that had finally come to a head. Ida for confronting my brother about his inappropriate toast? Should I have just ignored it to keep the peace? I'm tired of always being expected to be the bigger person, but I also don't want this to drive a permanent wedge in my family. Edit. Thank you all for your responses. I want to clarify a few things based on the comments. 1. This isn't the first time Alex has made comments about my career. He's always been very traditional in his views and thinks women should prioritize being homemakers. We've had many arguments about this over the years, dating back to when I first chose my college major. 2. My parents tend to make excuses for Alex's behavior. They say things like that's just how he is or he doesn't mean any harm. They've never really held him accountable for his actions, which I think has only enabled his behavior. 3. Daniel has been incredibly supportive throughout all of this. He wanted to confront Alex himself, but I asked him not to because I didn't want to make the situation worse. He's been my rock through all of this, reminding me that I have nothing to be ashamed of. 4. For those asking about my career, I'm a software engineer at a tech company. I've been with the company for 5 years and was recently promoted to a senior position. I love my job and have worked hard to get where I am. Alex has always seemed resentful of my success, often making comments about how I'm neglecting my feminine side by focusing on my career. Update 1. It's been about a month since my original post, and a lot has happened. First, I want to thank everyone for their supportive comments. Reading them helped me realize that I wasn't overreacting and that my feelings were valid. It's been a difficult month, but your words have given me strength. A week after the wedding, my parents invited the whole family over for dinner. They said they wanted to clear the air and move past the wedding incident. I was hesitant, but Daniel encouraged me to go, saying it might be a chance for Alex to apologize. Daniel offered to come with me for support, but I decided to go alone, feeling like I needed to handle this myself. When I arrived at my childhood home, I was immediately hit with a wave of nostalgia. The house smelled like my mom's signature lasagna, a dish she always made when she was trying to smooth over family tensions. As I helped set the table, I was reminded of countless family dinners, some happy, some tense, but always ending with us coming together as a family. I hoped this dinner would be the same. Before dinner, my mom pulled me aside and asked me to be the bigger person and apologize to Alex for embarrassing him at the wedding. I was shocked. It was like we were kids again, with me always being expected to apologize even when Alex was clearly in the wrong. I refused and told her that I had nothing to apologize for. She looked disappointed but didn't push the issue further. During dinner, the tension was palpable. We made awkward small talk about the weather and my cousin's new baby, carefully avoiding any mention of the wedding. Finally, my dad cleared his throat and brought up the elephant in the room. He said we all needed to move on and forget about the wedding incident for the sake of family harmony. Alex piped up, saying he was sorry if I couldn't take a joke. It wasn't a real apology at all, and I could feel my anger rising. I thought about all the times I'd let his comments slide for the sake of keeping the peace, all the family gatherings I'd dreaded because of his attitude. I took a deep breath and decided it was time to address the issue head-on. I calmly explained how hurtful Alex's words were, not just at the wedding but throughout our lives. I talked about how his constant belittling of my career choices had affected our relationship. I brought up specific instances, like the time he told me I was wasting my time when I was studying for a big certification exam, or when he implied that Daniel wasn't a real man for supporting my career. I also pointed out that making sexist comments about a woman's role in a marriage was never okay, joke or not. I explained how his attitudes were outdated and harmful, not just to me but to all women who want to pursue careers. To my surprise, my sister-in-law Lisa, 31F, spoke up. She said she had always been uncomfortable with the way Alex talked about women's roles and that she agreed his toast was inappropriate. She revealed that she sometimes felt pressured to conform to Alex's idea of a perfect wife and that it had caused tension in their marriage. This seemed to catch Alex off guard. I don't think he'd ever considered how his views might be affecting his own wife. My parents were clearly uncomfortable with the confrontation. They kept trying to change the subject, suggesting we have dessert or look at old photo albums. But I stood my ground. I told them that I was tired of them making excuses for Alex's behavior and that if we were going to have a relationship moving forward, things needed to change. Alex got defensive again, accusing me of being oversensitive and unable to take criticism. But when I asked him to explain exactly what he was criticizing about me and his toast, he couldn't give a straight answer. He stammered something about how I should be grateful that Daniel was willing to put up with my career ambitions. The dinner ended on a tense note. My parents were upset that we couldn't just let bygones be bygones. Alex left in a huff, dragging Lisa along with him. Before they left, Lisa apologized to me quietly and asked if we could talk more another time. After I got home, Daniel was waiting up for me. He listened patiently as I recounted the whole evening, offering words of support and reassurance. He told me how proud he was of me for standing up for myself and suggested that maybe we should take some space from my family for a while, which I agreed with. The next day, I got a surprising text from Lisa. She said she had been thinking about our conversation and realized how much Alex's attitudes had affected her too. She confessed that she had given up her own career ambitions early in their marriage to fit Alex's idea of a good wife, and she was starting to regret it. She asked if we could meet for coffee to talk more. I'm meeting Lisa next week. I'm nervous but hopeful that maybe this could be a turning point in our relationship. As for Alex and my parents, I'm still unsure how to proceed. I know I can't change them, but I'm also not willing to keep accepting their behavior. I'm considering suggesting family counseling, but I'm not sure if they'd be open to it. Thank you all again for your support. It's given me the courage to stand up for myself and set boundaries with my family. I know the road ahead might be difficult, but for the first time in a long time, I feel like I'm on the right path. Update 2. It's been 2 months since my last update, and I wanted to share some developments. First, my meeting with Lisa went really well. We met at a quiet cafe near her workplace. I was surprised to learn she had recently started a part-time job at a local bookstore. Over coffee, we had a long, honest conversation about our experiences with Alex and my parents. Lisa confided that she had been struggling in her marriage because of Alex's outdated views on gender roles. She revealed that she had always dreamed of becoming a teacher, but Alex had discouraged her, saying that a wife's place was in the home. She said my confrontation at the family dinner had been a wake-up call for her, making her realize how much she had compromised her own desires to fit Alex's expectations. As we talked, Lisa opened up about her own family background. She came from a very traditional household, where her mother had always deferred to her father in all decisions. She realized that she had unconsciously fallen into the same pattern with Alex, afraid of rocking the boat or asserting her own needs. I shared some of my own struggles, both in my career and in standing up to Alex over the years. We laughed over some of the ridiculous things Alex had said in the past, finding humor in situations that had once only brought pain. By the end of our meeting, I felt like I had truly connected with my sister-in-law for the first time. Lisa and I have been meeting regularly for coffee since then, and it's been great to build a stronger relationship with her. She's even expressed interest in learning more about my career, asking questions about what I do and how I got into tech. It's been refreshing to have a family member show genuine curiosity about my work instead of dismissing it. As for Alex, things are still tense. He's been avoiding me, which honestly has been a relief. I've heard through Lisa that he's been complaining to his friends about how I've turned his wife against him, but he hasn't confronted me directly. Part of me hopes that this time apart will give him a chance to reflect on his behavior, but I'm not holding my breath. The most significant change has been in my relationship with my parents. After several heated phone calls and a lot of soul-searching, I decided to set some clear boundaries. I told them that I love them, but I'm no longer willing to tolerate their enabling of Alex's behavior or their dismissal of my feelings. At first, they were upset and accused me of tearing the family apart. My mom cried, saying she just wanted everyone to get along like we used to. I reminded her that even when we were kids, things weren't as harmonious as she remembered. She had just chosen to ignore the problems. But after a few weeks of limited contact, they seem to be coming around. My mom called last week and actually apologized for pressuring me to forgive Alex without addressing the real issues. It was a small step, but it felt like progress. She even asked me about my work, showing a level of interest she never had before. Daniel has been my rock through all of this. He supported my decisions and has even taken on the role of communicating with my family when it's been too stressful for me. His unwavering support has made me even more certain that I married the right person. We've had many discussions about family dynamics and how we want to approach things if we have children in the future. It's reassuring to know we're on the same page about creating a respectful, egalitarian household. On a personal note, I've been focusing on my own growth. I've started seeing a counselor to work through some of the long-standing issues with my family. It's been challenging to unpack years of complicated emotions and dynamics, but I already feel like I'm developing better tools to handle conflicts and set boundaries. At work, I've been channeling my energy into a new project. I'm leading a team developing an app that connects young girls with mentors in STEM fields. It's been incredibly rewarding, and I find myself thinking about how different my relationship with Alex might have been if we both had better role models for gender equality growing up. I'm not sure what the future holds for my relationship with Alex, but I'm learning that it's okay to prioritize my own well-being, even if it means creating distance from family members who don't respect me. It's a difficult lesson, but one that I think will serve me well in the long run. Thank you all for your continued support and advice. It's been invaluable in helping me navigate this difficult situation. I feel like I'm growing stronger every day, and a lot of that is thanks to the encouragement I've received here. Update 3. It's been 6 months since my wedding, and I wanted to give a final update on the situation with my family. The biggest news is that Alex and Lisa are separating. Lisa called me a few weeks ago to let me know. She said that after our talks, she started standing up to Alex more about his sexist comments and attitudes. This led to a lot of arguments, and ultimately, Lisa realized she couldn't stay in a relationship where she wasn't respected. Lisa shared that the final straw came when she expressed her desire to go back to school to get her teaching degree. Alex dismissed the idea, saying she was too old to start a new career and that she should focus on having more children instead. Lisa said she suddenly saw their whole relationship clearly and knew she couldn't continue living that way. I feel sad for Lisa, but I'm also proud of her for making such a difficult decision. We've grown much closer over the past few months, and I'm doing my best to support her through this transition. She's staying with a friend for now and has already enrolled in some education courses at the local community college. As for my parents, our relationship is slowly improving. They've started to recognize how their behavior has enabled Alex over the years. My mom has even started reading some books about feminism and gender equality that I recommended. It's a small step, but it means a lot to me. Last week, she called to tell me she had just finished Lean In by Sheryl Sandberg and wanted to discuss it. It was the first time we've ever had a real conversation about women in the workplace. My dad has been quieter about the whole situation, but I've noticed changes in his behavior too. He stopped making those little sexist jokes he used to think were harmless, and he actually asked me to explain my latest work project to him, listening with genuine interest. Alex, on the other hand, has become increasingly isolated from the family. He's blamed me for poisoning everyone against him, but the truth is, people are just finally standing up to his behavior. He refused to attend a recent family gathering, which was actually quite pleasant without the usual tension he brings. Daniel and I are doing great. This whole experience has brought us even closer together. We've had many discussions about family dynamics and how we want to approach things if we have children in the future. We've both agreed that we want to raise our kids, if we have them, in an environment where they feel free to pursue their passions, regardless of gender stereotypes. I've continued with counseling, and it's been incredibly helpful. I'm learning to set healthier boundaries and to not feel guilty about prioritizing my own well-being. I've also connected with a group of women in tech who have become a wonderful support system. We meet monthly to discuss our experiences and challenges in the industry, and it's been empowering to know I'm not alone in my struggles. My STEM mentorship app launched last month, and the response has been overwhelming. We've already matched over 500 girls with mentors, and the feedback has been incredibly positive. I can't help but think about how different my own journey might have been if I'd had access to something like this when I was younger. Looking back, I'm glad I stood up to Alex at my wedding, even though it was difficult. It set off a chain of events that, while challenging, have ultimately led to positive changes in my life and relationships. I've learned that it's okay to demand respect, to set boundaries, and to surround myself with people who support and uplift me. Thank you all for your support throughout this journey. Your advice and encouragement have been invaluable. I feel like I'm in a much healthier place now, both personally and in my relationships. While I know there may still be challenges ahead, I feel equipped to face them with confidence and self-respect.
Asterisk, after listening to today's story, perhaps it has raised some new questions in your mind, or maybe it has brought back some old memories. Every day on Reddit, new experiences and moments create fresh stories, and they connect all of us. Everyone has their own unique journey in life, and we all try to understand the world in our own way. These kinds of moments remind us that we are all human, sometimes happy, sometimes sad, and always learning something new. If you enjoyed this story, feel free to share it with your friends. Your thoughts and feedback are always valuable to us, as they motivate us to create even better content. Every story has its own unique angle, and our goal is to understand everyone's perspective and make our content diverse and relatable. Stories like these help us realize that life's journey is different for everyone, and by hearing others' stories, we learn something new. You can also share your own stories with us. Your experiences are valuable to us as well, and if you enjoyed this video, please leave your feedback. We aim to create content that brightens your mind and gives you new ideas every time. If you've already seen this video before, your feedback is still important. With every piece of feedback, we can improve our content and bring a new perspective to our viewers. Today, what we saw was just a small part of the many stories shared on Reddit and across the world. It's a reminder of how we all try to understand life by sharing our experiences with each other. This video was only an example of how we try to connect with others through storytelling, learning about different sides of life. We hope to continue sharing such stories that help us all learn and grow together. Thank you for your time, and don't forget to keep an eye out for more stories coming soon. If you haven't already, please like and follow for more amazing content. Your support keeps us going, and we will strive to bring you more thought-provoking and heartwarming stories. Until next time, take care and stay curious. Asterisk.